Welcome everyone. We'll allow 1 minute to people to be able to join for the participants. So we'll start in a minute. Okay, people will join, but I want to, start. Thank you. Sorry. So thank you and welcome to our webinar on Mastering the Numbers, Quantitative Analysis and Powerful Data Visualization for Excel. My name is Eni Kövös and I'm the Content and Communication Manager for the Local Link Hub, and I will be today host of the events. So what is Local Link Hub? Probably, and I hope a lot of you already know this, but for those who don't know, we are the partnership and localization platform of Terre des Hommes Lausanne. And this means that we are hosting a lot of e-learnings on our platform that are serving the capacity building needs of our local platform. Usually, our e-learnings are based on our internal knowledge, but today's event and the Excel e-learning, it's an exception. This e-learning is based on a collaboration with CartONG, which was augmented by our e-learning specialist, Ilaria Colciaghi. And I want to thank you, CartONG and Camille Errard, for making this course and making this webinar possible. I also wanted to tell you that Local Link Hub is available in English, in French, in Arabic, Hungarian, a lot of languages. Please go to the website and check it out. Let's share with you some housekeeping rules. As you know, the language of the webinar is English and the event is recorded and will be made available along with the presentation slides. The live captioning is available in English. This can be followed in French as well. If you go to the captioning, you can choose French or other language to follow the webinar on. The chat window is already open, so please drop your name there and say hello in your native language. Please put the name of the organization you are from. This webinar will be a bit unusual from other Local Link webinars because we are going to ask for you to put the questions in the chat. Camille is going to have a hands-on presentation and she is going to monitor the chat during this really practical presentation. So if you have a question at any point regarding what is going on at that time, please feel free to ask it in the chat. If you are not shy, you can also raise your hand and I can give you a voice to put your to ask your questions, but by default your camera and your microphone is off. If you have any other questions, please put them in the Q&A section. And as I already mentioned, today's topic is mastering the numbers, quantitative analysis, and powerful data visualization for Excel. And our speaker is Camille Errard from CartONG. As she will prepare her slides, I want to thank again Camille for agreeing to be the host of this webinar today. She is the Information Management and Mobile Data Collection Officer of CartONG. She brings over 7 years of experience in the humanitarian sector. Her career has taken her to Myanmar, Iraq, Lebanon, Syria, when you worked across clusters such as child protection, livelihoods, and more recently, information management. These field experiences have shaped her approach, allowing her to stay grounded and pragmatic when supporting local organizations in strengthening their information management practices. So, Camille, the floor is yours. I will switch off my camera now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Janika, for this presentation. And thank you very much for coordinating together and hosting us for this webinar on quantitative analysis on powerful data visualization on Excel. I'm very glad to be among you this morning. And as we mentioned, I will be presenting a quantitative analysis that you will be able to conduct at the same time as myself, as we will share the Excel in the chat, so you will be able to practice at the same time. Really, the objective for us today is to present you something practical that you will be able to implement straight ahead. I'm seeing that a lot of you are connecting from different countries, Spain, Moldavia, I saw Nepal as well. So I'm very glad to have you all gathered in this webinar. So just to present briefly CartONG. CartONG is an NGO founded in 2006, and it's specifically working in mapping and information management for international solidarity. So our mission is based on improving the quality, on the accountability, on the effectiveness of the data management, information management in their projects. And we are tailoring strategic and operational support. So our expertise is based on different topics, we have data collection, designing the tools, the participatory mapping. We have also a sector that is based on mapping, GIS, and data visualization. And we have all the sector specialized on information management strategies, like IM process diagnostic, responsible data management, workshops, webinars, and trainings. Our mission is, our services is to equip organizations with tools we designed for them. We also strengthen the skills with webinars, with trainings, in-person trainings, and so on. And we support the sector with the Learning Corner on the IM portal, where we share thematic information and resources. As we equip organizations, we also convey needs assessments in order to help analyzing the relevance, quality, and sustainability of your processes. We also help for strategic development and tool development, as well as information management for MIL. In this webinar that you just joined, we will be able to focus on two specific technical points. The first one will be generating analytics via pivot tables. So if you don't know pivot tables yet, you will see your life will change when you use Excel, because it's a very useful tool that will help you to convey quick analysis. And then we will identify and implement data visualization techniques and best practices throughout the way, along the way we are building our dashboard. Just a reminder, where is the data analysis and dashboard process in the information lifecycle? You can see on the screen that I'm sharing the information lifecycle of any information. So you start with defining your needs, designing the plan to collect data. Then you go for collecting and creating data. Comes then the process of cleaning and processing your data to classify and store it. And then comes the analysis that we will convey today. And the sharing and receive feedback will be done through a dashboard that we will build directly in Excel. Then the last step of this information lifecycle is the retain, discard, and archive. We have also webinars based on this specific step. Now let's jump directly on some definition on key concept of data analytics. My first question will be, and you can reply in the chat, what is for you data analysis? Just to see if briefly we have the same conception or not of this terminology. What is for you data analysis? Please don't hesitate to put your response in the chat. I will read them throughout the presentation. Understanding what data means. Thank you, Enike. What else could be data analysis for you? Any idea before we start? No? Transfer data to information. Thank you, Bilal. That's interesting. Processing data to show it in a readable and visible way. That's a good point also, Faisal. Thank you. Data segregation, using data to generate ideas, interpreting collected data. That's interesting, the terminology interpreting. Okay, we'll see. Any other idea? Data analysis for me is to find out which story the data is telling. Okay, keep the data for the future. Okay, using data to make decisions. Good points. So I see that we have a good idea overall of what is data analysis. Just to clarify these points before we start, the data analysis is really referring to the application of techniques in order to apply to data in order to reveal the useful information and support decision making. So some of you already mentioned the final point of analyzing data is really to support the decision making. And the process and techniques of analyzing data, it's to start from a data, which will be like a raw element, for example, the gender of a person and the number of people in your community. And then through analyzing the data, you will transform and combine data into information. So the information is really standing for the aggregation and the combination of data and to create meaningful, let's say meaningful information or meaningful interpretation. When we talk about like in the triangle you are seeing on the screen, we are talking about data, then information, which is the combination of data. And then knowledge will be the capacity to use this information in order to make clear decision making based on the information we get. The wisdom part will be when we are able to step back from what we did and to learn from our mistakes and success in order to readapt and readjust the activity on our action. For a small reminder, the analyzing part is coming after the designing and the acquisition of data. So after you design your survey, maybe, and you collected the data, then comes the time of analyzing. When we analyze data, we are also taking in consideration the question that is underlying our analysis, and we'll see with the analysis plan briefly that we have like key research question we can use to base our analysis. It's also a need to check your available resources and to choose the tool you will be using to convey the analysis. So today we'll be focusing on Excel because Excel is a powerful tool and you will be able to do a lot of different analysis thanks to that. And then the part we'll be focusing in the second part of the webinar will be the communication point with dashboard. When we are talking about like analyzing, we have two methodology we can use. We have quantitative methods and qualitative method. What does it mean? You can see on the screen there is a small picture to try to give you an example, a practical example of this. The qualitative methodology, as we mentioned with the free ice cream, the person is saying only 1 in 30 take the free ice cream interesting. So it's like basically analyzing the facts and the numbers, and he's counting how many people is taking the free ice cream. So it's something you can count, you can observe as a factual thing. So most of the time we have quantitative data through surveys or infrastructure monitoring. Whereas the qualitative method is much more focusing on the subjective point or categorization of some information. For example, in the drawing, you are saying, what did you feel when you saw the free ice cream? Exciting, a little scared. And why was that? So here we're focusing on the feeling of the person, what the person felt when they saw the free ice cream. This type of qualitative data is most of the time collected through videos, interviews, but also audio. You can have some notes, some documents. Focus group discussion, for example, will be a good way, or satisfaction surveys. You can take into consideration that when we are doing also surveys, we're most of the time mixing quantitative and qualitative data. And the way to, let's say, to analyze them will be slightly different, as the qualitative method will take sometimes more time in order to categorize the kind of feelings, for example, the people can have, and then in order to analyze it in a way we can count it, or we can see the proportion, let's say. The last one I wanted to clarify before we jump into Excel is that inductive or deductive approach. Anyone heard about these two terminology while I'm explaining them? Inductive approach or deductive approach? So if you didn't hear about this one before, inductive approach, it's an approach where you start analyzing a data set without having any preconceived ideas about what you will find. Basically, maybe you are arriving in a new area, you want just to have an idea of like what is the population need without thinking anything before. You will collect data, do a broad questionnaire, and then based on this data, you will start analyzing and seeing, okay, what do we find? What are the findings of this survey? What are the needs of the people? You have no preconceived ideas, so we'll just explore and make different data combination in order to see the impact of this condition or not. So this is an inductive approach. Most of the time, nevertheless, we are more using the deductive approach, which is starting with hypothesis and theory and then trying to explore the data in order to prove if our theory is wrong or good. So you are like basing your theory on indicators. Maybe you want to know the access on food security or the access of water. And then you will go to explore with different indicators. You will combine and see if it's invalidating or validating your hypothesis at the beginning. So this was a small reminder of like the different methodology and approach you can find in the data analysis. Now, I would like you to jump directly in the analysis on Excel. For this, I will now open up the Excel documents. Normally, I will just share it again, just in case. I think, Enika, you already shared it, but we have give you access through the link. Yes, I can see it again. Thank you, Enika. We gave you access to an Excel sheet that you are now seeing on my screen. On this Excel sheet, we will convey the analysis during the exercise. So the idea will really be like for you to try to do the exercise the same time. Download the Excel. Yes, don't work online on the Excel. Please download the Excel. Otherwise, you will modify the Excel for everybody. Okay, so let's try to explore first this Excel sheet before we start the analyzing it. So what we have in this Excel first is the explanation of the case study. As you can see, this case study has been created by CartONG in collaboration with Terra des Hommes as well, AFD and Action contre la faim. In this case study, you will have different tabs. First, the analysis plan. What is an analysis plan? So an analysis plan is basically the research question we will be following with the different questions and indicators and data disaggregation we would like to have within the analysis. So for example, one of the first questions we have in this is like, what are the demographic of the population in terms of age, gender, and dependency ratio? That's for the research question. And then you see we have an indicators. So for example, here, the indicator variable will be household composition and dependency ratio. And here we'll have some questionnaire questions. So your questionnaire question is responding actually to a research question. So here, for example, in the questionnaire, some of the questions we asked were, what is the gender of the head of household? What is the age of the head of household? Is the household member currently pregnant? And so on. So you can see that each question of the questionnaire is actually responding to a research question. Then we have the data collection unit, which is very important for you to be sure that you have all the unit needed for the disaggregation in the analysis. So here will be household, for example, and the desired disaggregation. Here for this question, we will have the region and district needed for the analysis. Then we have the analysis type. This one is basically guiding you in the type of analysis you will conduct during the analysis process. So for example, for the demographic question, we'll have population pyramids, frequency distribution or gender, measure of central tendency of age, or measure of variance of age. So the analysis plan is something you're supposed to create before collecting your data, because you need to create the survey and the questionnaire depending on your research question to be sure that you collect all data needed in order then to analyze your data. Then we have a data. The second term is a data dictionary. So data dictionary is basically having the name of the columns in your data sets. So here you have time start recorded, today data, region, district. So that's the name of your columns in your data sets. Then you will have a brief description of what does it mean. For example, region will be corresponding to the question in the questionnaire, what region are you in? Then you will have the data type collected, location, admin, calculation, integer, and so on. And then you will have the code. So it's basically the options that people were able to select within the questionnaire. Why having a data questionnaire is important? If you are not the one who prepared the questionnaire and you didn't prepare the survey, having a data questionnaire helps you to understand the data you have in front of you. As today we'll not have time to do a lot of exploratory research in the data, it will be helping us to find the proper information according to the research question we will be responding to. You will be seeing that during the exercise, I will be using it to check the name of the columns that I will be using in the pivot table. Okay, then in the next tab, you have clean data sets. So for clean data sets, you will be able to see the data that have been processed, what we're calling processing data. Processing data is basically the cleaning data. You cannot analyze any data if you didn't clean your data before. So you need to check for the duplicates, you need to check for the format of your data, if it's a number or not number. You need to check if there is any missing data, if there is outliers, and so on. So cleaning data is the first step needed and mandatory before doing any analysis of your database. Otherwise, you will be analyzing data that is maybe corrupted or not qualitative data. So here, in order to gain and save some time, we already cleaned the data for you. And you can see the database that is now organized with some headers in order to classify some columns also. So the first section will be data collection details. The second section will be household characteristic, demographics, and so on. As you can see here, we have the name of the column, region, district, age, gender. This name, if you don't understand the signification of this column, you will be able to refer to the data dictionary and then look for the denomination here. And here you will find any explanation of the name of the column. Now that you have seen the clean data set, let's jump directly in the analysis part. Here in the analysis food security, I already prepared for you some key questions we'll be analyzing and some indicators how we will be using the pivot table in order to do the analysis. Please, if you have any questions throughout the exercise, put in a message in the chat and I will be reading it and I will try also to respond throughout the analysis process. So here on my screen, you can see the first several survey questions. I will read them out loud and then we'll start to use the pivot table. The first question we'll try to respond is, does your household receive food assistance? General in kind of food distribution or cash grants or food vouchers. The indication we have for this question is using a pivot tables to calculate the count of the food assistant variable, display a percentage of column total. So here you have always indication to help you to perform the analysis. The second question we'll be seeing is like, how many days did the food from the general food distribution from the last cycle of food assistance last? That's the next question we'll try to respond. Respond. Then the last question will be, why do you not have access to the local food assistant programs? So that's basically the few questions we'll try to tackle with pivot tables to do a quick analysis in order to give some key answers. So the first things to do when we are starting pivot table is to check the question you will respond. And then we will be based on the clean data set in order to create the pivot table. Before we start, according to you, what is a pivot table? I'm mentioning several times a pivot table, but did you ever use a pivot table in Excel? Do you have any knowledge about pivot table, or it's a new concept for you? Don't hesitate to use the chat. Do you know this concept of pivot table, or is it new for you? Okay, it's new. Okay, great, Andrea. So we'll discover it. I used it once. Okay. You have some knowledge, Krishna. Okay. Okay, Issa focusing. Total new. Okay, great. So we'll discover something new and nice. A pivot table, what is it? A pivot table is a way to create a quick analysis based on the dataset without having to use any calculation or any formula, I mean. So it will be a way to create the tables without using any formula. How we do a pivot table? First, your pivot table needs to be based on your dataset, your clean dataset. So the first thing I will do is that I will go back to my dataset, the cleaned one, and I need to select all the dataset in order to select all the columns I could be using in a pivot table. Okay. So how do we select all the database without having to go from the first cell until the last one? We will go to the corner of the database. You can see there is a column A and there is the first line 1. Here in the corner, you have a triangle that you can see on my screen. It's the left side. So if I click between A and 1 on this triangle, you can see that all my database is selected. So before creating your pivot table, you need absolutely to select all the database, clicking on this left corner. I will do it again. You go between A and 1, and then you click on this triangle and you select all the table. Once it is done, you will go up to the options here, and you will go to Insert, and you can see that above in Insert tab, you have the mention of pivot table. Okay? So here I will click on pivot table in Insert tab, and you will see appear the table and range that I selected previously. So I basically want to select all my table. Like this, I'm sure that all the columns are included, and then I can convey my analysis. I hope it's still okay on this stage. So you go to Insert tab, you click on Pivot Table, and then you see this, window opening. Then the question will be choose where you want your pivot table to be placed. Here, I don't want to create a new worksheet because I basically want to have all my pivot tables in the existing worksheet I created. So I will click on Existing Worksheet. Once it is done, they are asking you where you want to create this pivot table. Here, you will be clicking on the tab where you want in the Excel sheet where you want this pivot table to be created. Okay? So I will be clicking on Analysis Food Security tab here, and I will be selecting one cell. If I'm not selecting a cell, the pivot table will not be able to be created. Okay? So you go to the tab where you want to create your pivot table, and then you are selecting one cell. Once it is done, you can see that automatically the location is populated. Then you are clicking on OK. And on your screen, you will see this spill error message, which is okay because we didn't start it already to create our pivot table. That is appearing. The most interesting part is on the right side of my Excel sheet, I will see this window opening, which is all the name of the columns. So you can see here, if I'm moving down, that's the name of my columns that I have in my Excel database. Here. And here I will have like 4 squares on my right screen. I will have filter, columns, rows, values. Okay? So what are we using this information for? When you are creating a table, you have like some rows and some columns. Like most of the time in Excel, you will have this information. So this is deciding which information you would like to see in the row and which information you would like to see in the column. You will just drop and drag the information from the columns that are above into the square columns or rows. Then the filter will help you like to also organize your information, the table, with some filters that we will be able to use to select some information. And then we'll have the values. The values is basically based on which column your Excel will calculate the response. Okay. Here is the 4 options you will be using to create your pivot tables. No worries, it will get clearer in a second when we'll be using it. So the first thing to do is first look at the information you will be needed in your pivot table. If I read again my question, the question is, does your household receive food assistance? Okay, so I'm basically looking for food assistance. If yes or no, the people received it. What do I need to do? I don't remember the name of the column where this information is based. It's okay. I will go to the data dictionary. And in the data dictionary, I will just look for the information based on food. So I will use the description survey question. And here I will just tap the name food or food assistance. When I do this selection of food in the data dictionary, you will see that it's selecting all the question in my questionnaire where the name food is appearing. Okay. That's what I'm doing when I don't really know the data set because I didn't create the survey. So I just want to have a quick look and understand where to find the information. Here, if I check the first question, which of your household basic needs can you not afford? Okay. So that's basically not the question I should be based on. But if I read the second question, does your household receive food assistance? That's the question that I need to use, the answer that I need to use for my analysis, okay? Because my question was, in the analysis security, does your household receive food assistance? So in the data dictionary, I see that the column name for this question that I will be using is food as, FOODAS, food assistance, okay? So I keep in mind this name and I go back to the analysis food security here. And here on the part where you will look for the information, I will type above food and you will see appearing the name of the column I need to use for this information. Okay. So the first thing to do before creating your pivot table is to check in your dataset which column you will be using to respond to your question. Okay. So once I find out that that's the column food assessment that I will be using, I will select this column and I will drag it in my pivot tables square. So the first thing I need to do is that I will click on drag, and I will drag it not in the filter, but in rows, okay? So when I click on the column and I drag it in rows, here nothing yet happened on the left side, okay? I'm missing one important point, which is the values based on which my Excel will calculate the information. So once again, I will take food assessment because I'm taking the same information that will be based the values to calculate. I'm clicking on food assessment and I will drag it in values. Okay. So here, I'm not seeing yet this appearing, but it means, okay. So normally I should be seeing split. Why are you splitting? I think I need to insert here. Okay. You can see that before extending my columns, my rows, I had the spill error message. Why did it happen? It's because there is not enough space in your Excel for the pivot table to be created. In that case, you select the row under the table and you will just insert a new row. Doing so, you create enough space in order to let your pivot table appear on the screen. Can you just let me know in the chat if everybody comes to this stage of like having your pivot table created? So just as a reminder, yes, Victor, thank you. You are selecting the name of your column and you are dropping the name of your column in rows. Why in rows? Because here you can see that my column is appearing 1 and 2, that's the response of the column. And here you can see that in front of the option 1 or the option 2, you have numbers appearing, 37 and 110. Okay, so basically what is happening is my Excel is taking this column to calculate how many cells contain the response 1 and how many cells contain the response 2. Okay. Now, response 1 and response 2 is not very understandable if you just leave your pivot table like this. So the first thing I would like to do is to replace 1 or 2. There is Gideon that having issues with the document link. So yes, 1 and 2 is not really readable information. So I will go back to my data dictionary and I will check in the information of the column. What does it mean 1 or 2? So if you check the codes on ranges, you can see that for food assessments, the 1 means yes and the 2 means no. So what I will do is that I will go back to my pivot table here. I will click on 1 on the cell where 1 is written. I will go in this bar, navigator tab. I will click and I will erase 1, and instead of 1, I will write yes, because the response 1 is the equivalent of yes. I will do exactly the same for 2. I will click here in the navigation, and then I will replace 2 by no. Like this, in my pivot table, I can understand that 37 people respond yes, and 110 respond no. Okay. Then I might want to remove the blank. So in the selection of row labels, I will just unclick and select the blank here. So now I have a clean table, which is telling me how many people say yes and how many people say no. Now, if you go to this data, you can see that is mentioned sum. When I'm clicking here, you have sum of food assessments. Here, when you go to the right side in the values, you can see that the values, it's telling you how it's calculating the data based on the column. Here, sum is not what we basically want. We want to count the number of people who replied yes. So I will change the calculation of the data. To do so, I will click on the arrow and I will go to values field settings here. Value field settings. So I will click on this value and a window will open. Here in this window, you can check which kind of calculation you would like to have based on this column. So you have the sum, we're calculating, for example, the sum of like all your expenses. You have count. Count, it will count each time that yes appear in this column, or the number of times that no appeared in the column response. The average, you have the max or the mean. You have also count numbers, and so on. So you have different type of calculation you will be using here. For us, in this example, I want to count how many people say yes and how many people say no. So I will basically use count. Now you can see that in the indication, we ask to display as a percentage of column total. Okay. So regarding the percentage column total, yes, I will ask you, will show you where I find the value field settings. When you go to values here in this square, you have an arrow, you click on the arrow, and you have this value field settings. Is it okay? In value field settings, I will be clicking again. Here, I will have the type of calculation I have. So I will select count. And here next to summarize values by, I have show values as. So I will click in the second tab. And here you are seeing which kind of calculation I want. As I mentioned, we want a percentage of column total. So I will go here and you can see that you can select different type of calculation. For me, I will select the percentage of column total here. When I finish to select the summarize values by counts and show values as percentage of column total, I will click on OK. When I click on OK, you can see on my screen that the numbers change in my pivot table. Now I have 40.222 and 59.78%. Okay? This percentage is based on the total of responses. Now for this percentage, I really don't want to have like decimal numbers. So I will just go on the tab here. And you can see that above, I will have increased decimal or decreased decimal. So I will just click on decrease decimal in order like to remove decimals. And I just want to have a round number. So I know that the yes was 40% of people reply yes and 60% of people respond no. Okay. So here in few clicks, you have already a pivot table that is showing you the answer of the response. Does your household receive food assistance? Great. Let's try to do the exercise once again with another question. In order to like get how we use pivot tables, we will do different example, and then based on this example, we will create our pivot charts. Let's go for the next question. My next question is, you may also want to compare the percentage of households who received food security assistance by region. So here you can see that we are using the same information, how many people received and did not receive the food assistance, but now we want to have the region information in addition, okay? So in order to create a new pivot table, what I will do is that I will select the first one, I will copy paste it, and I will come to my cell and paste the pivot table. So here I'm just copy pasting the first pivot table I just did, okay? If you don't want to do in this way, you can just do again, selecting all your data sets, then you will go to create, insert a pivot table, and then you will select the cell where you want to copy paste it. But for me, like copy pasting pivot table is a quick way to replicate. Now that I copy paste my pivot table, you can see I still have the information on the right side, okay? In this information, I will just remove what I have been using previously, and I will start again to put the column information I'm needing. The first things we can say is that the food assessment column will be the one we need to use because we are still using the question, did you have access to any food assistance? So I will be using the same column saying, yes, I had access, or no, I did not have access to the food assistance security. Then I will just select this food assistance column, and I will drag it first in the values. So I replicate this operation, saying, okay, I will use the food assessment column for this pivot table. Conditional function in pivot table, do you mean that you want to choose which information is dragged? What do you mean by conditional function in pivot table? Which information you would like to be using, Said? Actually, you can, with the filters and with the information you select, it's kind of a conditional function because yes, you are selecting which kind of information you will be using by filtering the information. If you are using a column, but you just want the response for one information, you will be just filtering, and it's kind of conditional formatting. Let's try it with the regions. We will see it in a minute. So regarding the food assessments, I still need to know yes or no according to the region. So I will be dragging the food assessment column in the column information. Okay. So here on my table, you can see yes and no appearing once again. Okay. That's my two responses. Now we're missing the information of the region. Okay. So what I will do now is I will check in my columns the region column. Okay. Here I found the column named region. So I will select the region and I will go to drag it in rows. What's happening on my pivot table? Now you can see, oh, okay. So it deleted everything. So you can see that on my column in rows, I have the region appearing. And now I will just drag again the values and drag again a food assessment column in the column. So on your pivot table, now you should be able to see regions in the rows, and the column showing yes or no. Now, if I want to have only the information for the region 1, as I mentioned, as a conditional functioning, just give me the information if the region 1 is selecting. I can just filter and only the information in region 1 will be showing on my screen. Now, if I want the 3 regions to show, I will just select region 1 and region 3. The point is food assessments. Okay. Here we saw that food assessment column in my data dictionary is, did you receive or did you not receive the food assistance? The response will be yes or no. Now, in my question analysis, I want to see if the people receive food assessment. So I will use the food assessment question. I put it in column to see if yes or no people received it. But I want to add the information of the region. So I put the region information column in the rows. So I can see on the left side regions and on the above columns, yes or no. That's how we're using. Then for the values, I'm using the food assessment. It will basically be based on yes or no, did you receive the food assessment calculation. So now my question will be to display this information as a percentage of a row total with row based on the 3 regions. Okay. So I'm selecting right now the pivot table to make appear again this pivot table on the right side. And here I will go once again to select in the values sum of food assessments. And I will click on value settings. And here, once again, I don't want a sum of the yes. I want to count how many times people say yes and how many times people say no. So I will select count. Then in the show value as, I will go to select the calculation as a percentage of row total here. So it will basically calculate the percentage based on the number of responses who say yes and the number of responses who say no here. So I selected first count, and the second one, I selected the percentage of row total. Then I will click yes. Here you can see that automatically my information is showing as a percentage. Okay. So here is the grand total. We have a percentage of 40% yes and 60% no and a 100% response. Once again, I will select all my data here. I will go under percentage and I will remove decimals because I just want to have like round numbers. So here I have a clean pivot table with the percentage of response of yes and no depending on the region. Now, if I just want to have the information of like yes, how many people receive per region, I just filter and I can see that like I will have only the yes answers. But because I use percentage, it's not very useful for us because it will do a 100 percentage. So I prefer to keep the no and have a disaggregation vision of like how many people say yes, how many people say no, depending of each region. Okay. So basically we're showing the same information, but adding another indication, which is the region 1. Then we will go for the next one, which is how many days did the food from the general food distribution from the last cycle food assistant last? Okay, that's a big question about food distribution and how many days it lasts for each family. Here I will be going again in the data dictionary, and I will try to find the information on how long did it last. In this question, you can see that the information we'll be using will be this one. How many days did the food from the general food distribution from the last cycle of food assessment last? I will be using this question in order to respond to my question. So you can see that the name of the column I will be using is GFD last. Okay, so I will just copy paste this. I will go back to my here. So I did a mistake. I forgot to copy paste my pivot table first. So I will go back to the pivot table here. I will copy paste it here. And then when I did this operation, I will go here and I will clean the information once again. Okay, now I start from scratch. So as I mentioned, this information, the GFD last, is the one I will be using, okay? So I go back to my research column. I will click here and I will be using this column name, which is GFD last. I will go and drag it on values. And here it will be calculating the response of people, say how many days it lasts, okay? The next information I should be using is the livelihoods, the household information, the household size. So I will go back to my data dictionary and I will here select the question where household is showing. So actually here you can see in the row 35, we have 36, we have total number. No, that's not this one, sorry. I will be using the household size, which is this one. DMHH size. What is the total number of household members? So here I will combine two information. How people do you have in your family and how many days did it last? So I will just copy paste here, this one. And I will go back to food analysis. I will copy paste here. And then I will select how many people in the family. So basically, I go to the data dictionary. I see that I want the information of the number of household members. I copy paste the DMHH size, and then I go to my pivot table, and then I will drag it. You can see here that I have still the spill issues on my screen. It means I don't have enough space, so I will just insert few rows in order to give enough space for my table to appear. Okay. So for this one, I don't want the sum of like the number of days. I want to have an average, okay? So I will go in the values settings, and then I will go to check the average of the number of days, okay? So here you can see average calculating, and I will not add any other calculation. I will just select the average. Here I have an issue because it's showing like percentage. I don't have to have percentage. So I will go back here and I will put no calculation. So here I just go to the form and I will put numbers. I will remove the decimals. So here is that the average numbers that is the food is lasting depending of how many people I have in my household. Okay. I will go to the last pivot table. No, I think we will stop here for the pivot tables and we will start to do the pivot charts in order to create a dashboard. I hope everybody you understood the principle of pivot table, which is basically creating quick and fast tables in order to analyze your data and get some insightful information in a few clicks. Now that I created these tables, I want to create pivot chart in order to show the information in a very easy way, and catchy way. What I will do, I will first select my first pivot chart, and I will go to Insert tab. Here in Insert tab, you can see that you have something that is called pivot charts here. So I will go to select pivot charts, and you can see here that Excel is asking you which kind of chart do you want to create based on this pivot table. Here I'm having the information of like how many people say yes for the food security assistance and how many people say no. Basically, what I want to know is like on the overall people surveyed, how many said yes and how many say no. In this type of information that there is like sub-part of the overall information, the charts you can be using, it's a pie chart because it's basically showing you the sub-part of all numbers, okay? So you can have like the column part charts, the line part charts, the pie chart, but for me, this information is better to be shown with a pie chart. Why? Because it's a sub-part of all number, okay? So I will select pie, and then I will click OK. Here you can see that my chart is automatically created, okay? What is important to do when you're creating some charts? Let's go for basic rules. The first thing you need to do is to put a title to your chart, okay? If you don't see the title appearing here, you can go and click on plus here, chart elements, and here you can see that you can select chart titles, data labels, legends, and so on. So you will basically customize your chart depending on these elements. So here I want the data labels to appear, for example, 60 and 40%, the legend, yes or no, and the title. What I will do then is to click on total, and I want to change the name of the chart because total is not really reflecting the information I'm showing on this chart. So I will just click on total and I will replace by household. Sorry, it's like capital letter, household with access to food security assistance. Okay, that's basically a clear and simple title that explains which information is conveying this chart. Okay, don't make mystery about the chart. Like we want to know straight ahead what information is in there. The second thing I'm seeing is that my labels are in dark, okay? And it's really not seeable in an easy way, the numbers in dark. So what I will do is that I will select 40 and 16. And then I will go to the home and I will select a color which will be white. So I will basically customize the color of the letters using the white one. In order to make it show a bit more, I will also use the bold options in order to make it appear a bit more clear in the chart. So now I have a clear chart with a title, with like some labels indication, and with the numbers that are easily readable. The next thing you need to do is to also customize your colors, okay? Because maybe the red and the blue is not the colors you wanted, or maybe it's not aligned with your graphic charts. So then you will be able to select one of the colors. And then on the side, you can see that when I'm selecting, I have the options here of the fill and line. So if I'm clicking here, I will click on fill. Here you can see that I can customize the color. So when I'm clicking here, I will just go and select the color I like or the color that is corresponding to my graphic chart. So I'm selecting a light blue. I will do exactly the same with the red because red is not a color that I would like to have. So I'm clicking here, going to the fill, and I'm changing the red for another color that I prefer to use. Here I will be using orange. Okay, so now you have a chart that is created based on your pivot table, and you will be able to see the information with color aligned with your graphic chart, with a clear title, and with the labels in order to understand like the numbers disaggregation. Okay, then let's do another graphic based on the regions. So I will
Sorry,
now select.
Camille,
Yes,
somebody wants to ask a question. Can we allow
sure,
Mustafa?
definitely.
Just a moment, Mustafa, I will let you, now you are able to talk. Okay, can you talk, Mustafa? You need to click on audio and say like
Your voice has your mic has a problem. Okay. If you want to write your question, I can also reply like while reading it. Okay, so maybe Mustafa, if you have issue with your mic, don't hesitate to write the question and I will try to respond directly. So now I was saying that I'm going for the next chart based on the next pivot table. So I'm selecting my pivot table and then I will go again to insert. I will go to click again on pivot charts. And here you will see the options of which kind of chart do you want to use. For this chart, I want to have the information per region. So it's not one region with a disaggregation of yes or no. I have 3 regions. If I have 3 regions, I will not be able to use a pie because I'm not showing the information only for a region. I'm showing information for 3 regions. So the best for me is to use a column, a clustered column. Okay. So here you can see that you have different type of clustered column. Maybe if I'm using a clustered column with the disaggregation of yes or no, I can have like both in the same one, we say stack column here, which is showing the number of yes and the number of no. So I will be using the stack column here, and I will click OK. So you can see on my screen that now the chart of stack column is showing. I will do exactly the same process. I need first a clear title. So I will click on plus. I will select the chart title. And you can see that now on my chart, I have a title appearing. So I want, once again, a clear title that is explaining which information I'm seeing on my screen. So I will type households with household access to food assistance by region. Okay? This is a clear title that explains directly what I'm seeing on my screen. Here, I would like to have also appearing the labels, like how many percentage on my per region. So if I want to make appear my labels, I will just click on data labels. And here you will see the disaggregation of percentage per region. Once again, I don't find them very readable. So I will just select all of them, go to customize them in white, do the same here and here. I don't want also the colors to be different from one chart to another. I want to have a kind of an harmony between the colors. So I will select again the red one. I will go on the right side. I will select fill, and then I will just select the color I want to use. Okay. And here I don't want this blue. I want a clear blue. Okay. Here I have my new chart with basically a clear title, some labels. I have also the information of the region and so on. You can see that while we're using pivot chart instead of using simple charts, when I'm clicking on regions, I'm also able to select and unselect some information. So basically your pivot chart will reflect the filter you are applying to the charts. Now I will select the 3 regions and the 3 regions will appear. Okay. The last chart I will create it on an information that I prepared in advance, which is basically the number of households who say yes. Here we have the size of my household. So you see 3 people, 8 people, 3 people. And here we have the average of the number of days that the food assistant lasts per household, depending on their size. Okay? So this information, I took it directly from the clean data set, where I selected the information of yes, and then the information of size of the household, and then the information of the number of days. I put this information in advance for you because I would like to have a chart showing me, according to the household size, how many days the food assistance lasts. In order to create this chart, on this one it will be a simple chart, I will select all my table that I created for you. And here I will go to Insert, and I will insert a chart. You can see that here I will have like different recommended charts, but for me, I would like to have a scattered chart. So I will directly go again to Insert Scatter. And I would like to have this kind of chart. You can see a chart with small points showing me the information, okay? So here I will select Scatter, and I will select the first chart available. So you can see that now, when I click on this chart, it took the information of the side of my table, and it took the information of the number of days here on the left side, and the number of household the number of people in the household here. Okay? So this chart, it was, I would like to use this this example in order to show you a different kind of chart. This chart, we call it a scatter chart. Why we're using a scatter chart? A scatter chart is basically to show an information in a timeline, okay? Here we will be using the number of days, basically, from 1 to 35 days. And here it will show the number of people in the household, okay? So actually, I think, yes. Now what we will be using, for this chart, you can see that I have a huge size, which is empty. No information or no data is in this chart. So in order to change this information, you can see that I will select here the axis, the vertical value axis. I will select them. And on the right side, I will go to the options, and then I will go for the axis options here. And you can see that I can choose the maximum and the minimums of the value shown. Here, my chart is starting from 0, so it will be 0 days until 35 days. So actually, I want this chart to start at 15 because you see that the first point is showing at 19, okay? So instead of starting my chart at 0, I will go here and I will just put 15, okay? When I select 15 and I enter, you can see that my chart changed and I removed a lot of white information because the axis, the value of the vertical axis changed from 15 to 33, okay? So now I have a chart. I will put a clear title because this one is not really readable. And I will write, the information is showing the length of time that food security assistance lasts depending on the household size, okay? There is one thing that is missing my chart, is basically the axis and information, okay? Because I don't know which one is the size of the family and I don't know which one is the days. So I will click on plus and I will select axis titles, okay? So you can see here that I have some titles that appears. So in this one, I will put household size. That's the number of people in my, actually in my household. And this one will be the number of days. So I'm selecting and I'm putting days. So now I have a clear I have a clear information showing how many days the food assistant lasts depending on the size of my household. Perfect. So now I have three different charts. Yes, on this chart, the last thing I would like to use is to integrate a tendency. So if I go here, you see there is the option trend line. Trend line is basically showing the general tendency of my data. So I click on trend line, and you can see that I have a line that is showing me the general tendency of my data. Okay. It's helping me to show if one point is marginal regarding the general tendency or not. This trend line is not really visible. So what I will do is that I will do a linear one. And on the sides, when I select this trend line, I will be able to customize my trend line. So I will change the color to put it in orange, and then I will put it as a line. This one is a small option, but it's just for me to show the general tendency of my database. Okay? So now, if you are still with me, and hold on, because now we will just create in a very quick way our dashboard, you have three charts. Two are pivot charts. It means I can filter the information in the pivot chart. And one will be a simple chart, which will not be moving. Okay? Now you did your pivot tables with small analysis, you did your chart, but you want to showcase your information to your manager in a very nice way. It will be a good time to create a dashboard. So here in the tab Dashboard Food Assistance, you can see that I created a very simple page where I put some elements. The first element I put, it's a shape that I created here, and I created some names according to the different dashboard I have to produce for my manager. And here I'm just putting colors in order to put the title of my dashboard. So this is a very simple Excel sheet that I just customize. You can see also that in the background, there is no lines. So how I did this one, I went to the information of actually view in this one. And you can see that if I put grid lines here, it's actually I put it in white. So I will just put no colors in the background. If I put white, you can see that here you have, if I put grid line, you can see that the grid lines are appearing. If I remove them, you can see that my background is appearing in white. Okay. So now I will just come back to my screen. So here, that's a page where you can build your dashboard. How we built our dashboard in a very quick way. I will go back to my food analysis and I will just select my first chart. I will copy paste my first chart and I will go to the dashboard page, select a cell, and I will copy paste it. So here you have your first chart appearing on the screen. I will do the same exercise, which is copy pasting my charts and putting in on the dashboard page. Here I have my second chart, and the last one will be doing the same. Up, I will just create this one and copy paste it. Great. So here I have a chart, a dashboard starting to resemble to something, like it's starting to take shape. Then you can see that here I want these two charts, the above one, to be aligned. So I will just click on them and I will go to the shape format and I will click on align and I will align them on the top. So automatically my charts are aligning. Okay, great. Here I have a very simple dashboard created with three different charts. The last thing I will show you, and after we'll go for the questions, is how to create slicers. What is a slicer? A slicer is basically an option when you have buttons, you can click on them and it's filtering information depending on the filter you want. How do I create a slicer? So this one, I will click on a chart and you can see that above I have three different tabs appearing. I have pivot chart analysis, design, and format. If I click on pivot chart analysis, you have the option here to insert slicer here. So I will insert slicer and here I have all the different information I can use to create a filter. So for example, I could have like a slicer saying, oh, okay, I want a slicer about my region. Yes, and I want a slicer with yes or no, people receive the food assessment. So I will go back and I will select food assessment column. So I'm basically clicking on the information I would like to have as a filter. I'm saying, okay. And here you can see that I have two new windows that are appearing on my screen. Great. These two windows are basically filters. So I will put them on the side here nicely. Here. Okay. Why am I using this one? I'm basically using these buttons in order to filter information. So if I click on yes here, you can see that only I don't know. Here, if I click on yes, you can see that the first chart is actually showing me only the information for yes. But the other chart, it didn't also filter the information. So in order to have the charts that are filtering information for both of them, I will select on my slicer. I will go to slicer settings. No, I will go first to report connection. And you can see that here I can select with which pivot table this filter will be connected. So I will select them all. I will click OK. Watch again. I will do the same manipulation for the second one. For food assessment, I will click on the slicer. I will go to report connection. I will select the pivot tables and I will click OK. What's the difference now? If I click on no, you can see that now both of the charts are actually showing me the information for no. If I click on yes, the information will change. Of course, we are using percentage, so for you, yes or no will not be very useful to use. But if I'm just choosing the regions, here if I click, you can see that the first chart is putting me information for the first region, how many people say yes and how many people say no. And the second chart will be also showing me only for the region. So if I'm clicking on region 1 and region 2, I have like information for region 1 and region 2 that is showing. And here, the total of people who received food assistance for the two regions and the total of people who didn't receive food assistance for the two regions. Great. Now, if I would like to design a bit more nicely this slicer, what I can do is that to select the slicer, to go to slicer, slicer settings. And here, for example, I just want to remove the display headers. I don't want any title. And I want to hide items with no data. If I click OK, you can see that now I have only the buttons here that are showing which region I can select. I can do the same for the second one. Let's do it again. I select food assessment slicer. I will go to slicer tab. I will click on slicer settings. And here I don't want to have any headers and I want to hide items with no data. And you can see now that I have nice buttons, which is saying yes or no people received. Actually, I can also put a title to this one if I want. So I can put a name and I can say household food assistance access. Here, I can click OK, and you can see that now I have a new title showing. But here, my title is far too long regarding the display I did. If you want to change also the style of your slicer, you can go to slicer and to style, and you can design the buttons you want. You can also customize your slicer with no ground or so on. And here you have a very simple dashboard having like different charts. These different charts have also like some nice buttons that you can be using. And you created a very simple dashboard in a few clicks based on some pivot tables that you created also in a few clicks. I will now stop my presentation because I think it's a lot of information I already shared with you. Really, the idea for us, it was today to show you how we create quick and usable pivot tables using different type of calculation. You have the counts, the sum, the percentage calculation, and also based on these pivot tables, how we created like pivot chart in order to create a very simple dashboard to give access to your manager and to show him in real time the data you have been analyzing for him. Thank you so much. I know that it was a very fast presentation with a lot of technical details, but I'm sure you will be able to access the recording and to train yourself on your side. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Camille. I'm really proud of myself, but as I mentioned, I already did my second pivot table, so I'm I'm using Excel like really on a basic level. So this presentation, as long as I could follow it, it was also for me. Um, do you have questions for Camille? Now it's the right time to ask them. I know this was a lot of, okay, Victor Bivol has raised. I will allow you now to talk. If you can switch on your mic, you could probably speak,
Hello,
Victor.
do you hear me?
Yes, yes.
I'm actually want hello everyone. First of all, I wanted to check regarding the last pivot table that we did. Like I wrote in the chat,
Yes.
Oh, in the chat.
we see they're close to 39 days, 39 members on the household size, but we actually the maximum is 17 in the table. So
Yes, I think I mistaken both. I think, yes, I think you're right. In the number of days, it's reaching 30. No, actually, this one and
no,
the
it's
household
right. It's just
size.
the household size. It's incorrect.
Ah, okay, the household size is incorrect. Yes, this one. Yes, I might want to redo the exercise maybe if I do it again. You're right to mention that I think this was incorrect. I just want to check if I do it again. It might be I selected in a wrong way or so. So I think if we start again to do the scattered, here you see, if I
Yeah.
do it again, we have the correct information. So thank you for mentioning, because also when I was
Okay.
doing the presentation, I felt like something was off. So actually, this is the accurate information. Thank you so much for asking this
Uh,
question.
we actually, in this case, we took all the three columns. We should not have taken the food assistance with
Mm, yes.
the first column.
The
That's right.
first column was merely like to select the people who say yes,
Yeah.
because
So
the
this.
options one was yes. So selecting only the two last column is the correct way to do so.
Okay.
You're right. Thank you so much for mentioning. So here we have the proper chart depending on the data. Thank you, Victor.
Thank
Okay,
you.
and thank you very much. It was an interesting webinar. Of course, it needs a lot of, on our side, it needs a lot of trying and testing and seeing what this pivot table can show us and can help us with. Thank you.
Definitely.
Yes.
Highly advise you to train yourself in pivot tables. It will change your perspective once you know how to use them properly.
Yes, thank you, Victor, for the question. Any other questions regarding the presentation, regarding Excel? I've put in the chat the link for the e-learning that we have. That I mentioned it at the beginning that we have this beginner friendly e-learning. So probably some of you who already are here and work in finance, for instance, this is too basic for you. But for those who are starting like myself, it's a good. Okay, Riva, just a moment. I will give you the floor. Now you can ask your question if you unmute your microphone. You can talk now.
Hello, do you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
How are you? I wanted to ask about the slicer option. Is it present in all Excel sheets? Because I usually
Yes,
do pivot tables
Hmm?
and I use it frequently, but the slicer tab, I never see it.
I think the slicer type is directly connected to, we'll share again my screen. It's directly connected to the pivot chart. So if I go again to Excel, when you are selecting pivot chart analysis, then you will see the pivot chart analysis tab, and then you have the slicer options. So actually your slicer option will be connected to the chart, pivot chart, and not connected to the pivot table, because pivot table you are already using the filters and so on. So the slicer is a way to display filters, let's say.
Okay,
Does
thank
that
you.
make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So here.
Okay, thank you, Riva, for your question. Sorry, I tried to type and look, so I tried to type and listen to the conversation as well. But the meaning of my text is that we will share the presentation and the recording of this webinar. I'm planning to do it next Tuesday, next week, Tuesday. Do we have any other questions, or we don't need to have? Okay, the slides. So there is a comment if you want, Camille, to.
Yes, so Anne from CartONG just gave us a precision that regarding the slicer, they appeared in Excel 2010 for pivot only. And the features were incremented for all tables in Excel 2013 plus, then 2016, 2019, 365. Thank you so much, Anne. So that's a precision regarding the Excel version you have. It might come from their REWA, your issue to have access to slicer. Once again, the slicer is regarding your pivot charts, and it's a quick way to showcase your filters.
Super. So if you don't have any questions. Okay. Somebody has his mic on, please. Victor, please unmute yourself. Sorry, I muted you. No worries. Okay. I will now launch a short poll. These are only 2 questions, and please answer this poll because this helps us, design better webinars like this. And in the meantime, in the short time that you are answering the poll, I wanted to tell you that we will have a next webinar in 2 weeks on 11th of June that will be starting from 10 a.m. also Central European time. And it's about understanding external donor audits. So if your audit colleagues or you are from the financial team are the people who are doing the donor audits as well, you are more than welcome to come and join this webinar as well. This webinar is designed to help all partners understand what an audit is, why donors ask for it, how we can work together to make the process smooth and stress-free. The speaker will be a Terre des Hommes specialist, Sara Navarro Las Hayas, our colleague from Lausanne. Do check out the e-learning section of Local Link Hub when you can find other free e-learnings as well. We have on communication, we have on CFRM, on fundraising, and our newest addition is a module for the communication course. It's on the fake news, and it's the 7th module of the communication e-learning. You can take this module all by itself, or if you are after a certificate, you need to finish the entire course. Let me see if, I don't know if you are still answering for the poll. Okay, thank you very much, Camille. Somebody says, sorry, I don't, N says, and thank you to all participants for the attention and involvement. And we are proud as CartONG to partner with Terre des Hommes and support wise use of data for all its teams. So I'm also happy for our collaboration. And yes, I did not mention that we have also an interesting podcast with Camille on Local Link Hub. That's another interesting collaboration of us. Okay, I think that you are not answering anymore, and we are also near the end. I will give you back 1 minute of your life. Thank you so much for joining this webinar. And as I said, I will send you the recording, and have a nice afternoon. Take care.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
so much to everybody. Bye bye.